All right, so this is going to be a review of The Crow 2024, directed by Rupert Sanders. Obviously, it's a remake of that original 1994 movie starring Brandon Lee. You probably know Brandon Lee died on set making that original movie. For whatever reason, they decided to make another one. I know there are, I guess, other movies and shows. I saw them on IMDb. I looked them up. I haven't seen those, but I have seen that original movie. I just watched it for the first time a couple weeks ago on Prime Video, and I think it's great. I liked it. It's definitely got its own style to it. It's very 90s, and I think Brandon Lee is fantastic in the role. So, remaking this in 2024, I don't really see the point of it after watching that original movie. And the trailers didn't look all that great. Plus, the studio was pretty much hiding critic reviews with that embargo. So, you know, people weren't looking forward to this, and with reason. But now the movie's out, and I'm a little bit late on this, I've looked around. Most reviews that I've seen have been negative. After seeing this movie yesterday, I will not prolong this, how I feel about this. I think this movie is terrible. It's not even just terrible. I think it's the worst movie of 2024, at least so far. So this movie starts off with Shelley, played by FK Twigs, who's the love interest in this. She's on the run from this group of people. Her and her friends were doing drugs, whatever. They witnessed something they shouldn't have seen, and somebody got it on video somehow and sent it. Her friend, I guess, sent it to her and was sending it around, I guess. So now this shady group is going after them, this dangerous group. And she ends up running into some police officers and ending up in this rehab facility to pretty much stay away from them so they don't get her. And she ends up meeting our main character in there, Eric, played by Bill Skarsgård. They end up falling for each other pretty much immediately, and they don't have any chemistry, and the romance is bad in this. We'll get back to that. But they end up escaping this rehab facility in a way that is way too easy. I guess this place has escapees just all the time, I guess, if it's that easy. They get out, and instead of, leaving town, like running away, they like have this whole romance and do all these things with like friends and things. It's like nothing's going on. It makes no sense. So eventually, obviously this group catches up with them and kills them. Somehow, Eric is able to come back to life, and he can't die. And his one purpose, is to take out all those guys that killed them. And in doing that, he'll potentially be able to bring Shelley back to life. All right, so positives, and I don't have that many. I think the performances are, I guess, decent or as good as they could be with this bad, really bad material, bad dialogue, especially with Bill Skarsgård and FK Twigs with Eric and Shelley. Their romance, man, this dialogue. We'll get back to that. Material is so bad, but they are doing, I guess, what they have to do, right? Like they're like serviceable for what they're given. The movie, I think it looks all right. I think it's shot okay. I think some of the wide shots are a bit distorted looking and kind of blurry, almost like some of Zack Snyder's latest stuff on Netflix, where it has that weird kind of depth of field thing that's kind of weird in some scenes. But for the most part, I think it looks pretty good, and I think the action is good. He starts off kind of, getting used to the fact that he can heal or really trying to figure out what's going on. He ends up killing a cop and things like that. It's decent action. There's this scene that's in this opera house, and it keeps cutting between him just destroying these guys and the actual show that's going on. I thought that was good, and I thought that was edited well. I think that's easily the best part of this movie, because everything else just kind of falls flat. So that's all the positives. Where do I even start? So you're thinking, watching the trailers or whatever, it looks like a bland version of that original movie. We see a lot of remakes where they don't really get what made the original special. We see that with the Disney live action remakes, things like that, where we're just kind of going through the motions, but not with the same heart, same emotion, same passion behind it. It just falls flat. But in this case, this movie is pretty different from that original, but it's not in the movie's favor. So that original movie, it's for the most part pretty simple. Yeah, Eric Draven, Shelley, they end up getting killed, and he comes back to life, literally comes out of the grave, and the Crow is leading him to the different guys that did this to him. These guys are evil. They're completely irredeemable people. and you see it like supernatural retribution against these guys and against this group that they have. And he's kind of one by one taking them on. Eventually he ends up taking on the actual leader of the group and everything. It's pretty simple. This movie is not. It is convoluted, it's messy, and a lot of it feels like it's missing. I would be shocked if there isn't a lot of this movie that's on the cutting room floor. Like the editor just came in and just started cutting, like became a slasher villain almost. There's so much of this movie that feels like it's just not there. Context that feels like it's missing. You don't feel like you know the characters, including the main character, Eric. He has a backstory, like they kind of flash to it. I guess he had like a horse or something caught in a barbed wire, trying to help it, and you see his childhood home on fire. And they kind of touch on some things in the rehab facility when they're doing these group therapy session type things, but not nearly enough. You don't feel like you know him, know what he's about. You don't even know why he's in rehab in the beginning. It's like you don't know this character at all. And it also doesn't help that Bill Skarsgård is just kind of bland. This version of the character is just bland. And Bill Skarsgård, he's doing what he needs to do, but it's a bland version of the character. Most of what you get from him, he's just kind of sad. He's sad about what happened with Shelley. Oh, I want Shelley back. Oh, I'm kind of questioning certain things with Shelley, my love for her. But you don't really get much from him. Whereas with Brandon Lee, he was just so good in this role. You get all the emotion from him. Obviously, he is also sad about Shelley, and he's having flashbacks about when they were together. But whenever he's going after these dudes, he's laughing maniacally. He's sadistically killing these guys, like enjoying it. And he just, I don't know, he captures your attention. You're entertained by him the whole movie long, and he's just so good. So, with this version, you can't help but compare, and it comes nowhere near as good as, Eric Draven and Brandon Lee is in that original movie. So much of this is about the romance, and the romance is so bad. I can't tell you enough how bad this romance is. They seem to like each other just immediately. When they get out of the rehab facility, they're hanging out in this place that I guess her friend lets her stay in, and they're in the bathtub together. And he asked her, what was the first thing you liked about me? She's like, oh, that you were beautifully broken or something. It just tries so hard to be deep. And these characters, they have no chemistry. And, they spend some time together. There's points where they're hanging out with other people. Who the hell are those people? One of them's the tattoo artist that's barely a character. I don't remember his name. The characters are so weak in this. But it's just really overly sappy and cheesy, but without enough development of the actual romance to make me believe it. It doesn't feel believable. And there's no chemistry there. So it's like you're saying these really deep lines and things. They're on the bridge, and she's like, man, I wish I would have wrote a lot of this dialogue. Do you think edgy teenagers will build a shrine to us? And things like that. Just trying so hard to be like really loving of each other and like kind of like deep when it comes to their romance. And it just falls completely fucking flat. You don't get an idea of how long these two have been together. Why are they not running away when they're clearly on the run? I don't know. They're in clubs and things like this. Like nothing's happening. They're just having the time of their lives together with this shitty ass romance. It doesn't make sense. I guess we can get to the villain. So Danny Houston plays the villain, Vincent Brogue, and I don't know much about him. He says that he made a deal with the devil to where he can send innocent people down to hell in his place. He's been around for a really long time. So I guess he's in some way immortal, but it seemed like he can still be harmed. He's not like Eric. But I don't know why he's doing what he's doing. He has a protege that can play piano, and Shelley could play piano, and he has this connection with her mom that they kind of have some kind of relationship. And you don't understand it. It feels like there's parts of it missing. I can't imagine the writing has this many just like glaring holes in its storytelling. So there has to be things cut out, right? I mean, you really don't get an idea for his character. He has people who's working with him. Eric takes out this blonde lady that seems to be pretty high in his organization at that opera house. And you could have asked me her name in that scene and I wouldn't have been able to tell you. I don't know what she does for him, why she's with him. She says she's kind of like, she was forced to kind of go along with things, but there's no real backstory there. He can whisper in people's ears and make them kill themselves, but but he can also whisper in people's ears and make them kill other people. What is his actual motivation? What's up? What's going on with this opera house? How does his organization actually work? I don't know. There's so much of this missing that I don't understand. From the beginning, I thought that Shelley was selling drugs for him, right? Like she ran drugs for him or something. He had some kind of drug organization. That turned out to not be it. So it's like, I don't understand. There's so much that's missing from the main character, the villain. By the time the villain, you have the final confrontation with the villain, with Eric and the villain, um, Eric does a certain thing where it's like, okay, how is he able to do that? Has he been able to do that this whole time? And then the resolution of the whole thing when it comes to Shelley and all that, I was like, oh, okay, so that can just happen. All right, I guess that's it. It's just, oh my god, it's him just killing. It's Eric, Bill Skarsgård, going around killing people, feeling sad. The soundtrack, what you're watching is so bland, but the soundtrack hits you with these really kind of overbearing songs, like these songs that should have a lot of emotion behind them when it comes to the scene that they're in, and it doesn't work. They don't fit together. It's like, why you have this song in here? It's like distracting. Um, wow, it's one of those where you can't believe that the movie was made like this. It was made at all. It should have been made at all, but that it was made and released in this state, it blows the mind. So I'm giving this complete shit. It is it is so terrible. It is atrocious. But really, like, I saw somebody say that this movie is so bad it's funny, or so bad it's good. It's not so bad it's good, but it is so bad it's funny at times, right? There were times that were like, dramatic moments, right, or characters dying or whatever, and I won't lie, I was laughing in the theater. So there weren't that many people in there. This movie's not going to make that much money, but and I think I was the only person laughing at everything. Everybody else, from what I could see, there's only a couple people in there. Looked bored. Like the guy in the row with me didn't seem like he was all that into it. There was people kind of leaving. I don't know if one of them left and didn't come back, or I just didn't see them come back. It didn't seem like people were into it too much. Yeah, this is worthless. It's worthless. Don't even go see this to make fun of it or laugh. It honestly is just a complete mess of a movie that shouldn't have been released like this. But anyway, yeah, that's The Crow. It is not only terrible, but for me, I really do believe this will be the worst movie of the year. I can't imagine too many, really any movie ends up being worse than this. But anyway, yeah, The Crow, 2024. Subscribe, and we're done.